Hello and welcome to All Hands on Tech. I am your host, Jeremy Morgan, and I'm glad to be back. I'm excited to be back. I had a lot of fun last week in New Orleans. Some of you folks probably watched that. We had link stuff. We had Tech Skills Day. We had all kinds of cool, exciting stuff last week. But I'm back here home in Oregon and ready to build some JavaScript games. So let's jump right into it and we'll kind of catch up. If this is your first time watching the stream, we'll kind of show you what we're working on here today. And I'll do a quick tech check here to see if I am on where I am supposed to be on. So today we're going to YouTube, we're going to LinkedIn, we're going to several different spots. And actually my voice is kind of hoarse, you might notice. I'm not sure why, but for some reason when we were down in New Orleans, my throat went to pot. It was bad. Okay, and check here. Let's see. Looks like we may not be on LinkedIn. That is quite unfortunate. We're on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, which is awesome. However, it does not look like we're on LinkedIn. We are going to have to figure that out to see why we're not on LinkedIn. Give me just 1 second here. I'll see if I can figure this out. Hello, Alpha Lola. Aloha to you as well. I'm just trying to figure out why I am not on LinkedIn at this moment. But the show must go on. Even if we're not on LinkedIn, that is fine. We are on Twitch. We are on YouTube. We are on a few different platforms. So what we're doing today is we're working on our totally awesome game again. And what this is a JavaScript game. We've been working on it for quite a while, since the beginning of the year. We've done a lot of stuff with this. So we're using the Phaser JavaScript framework. We put this together from absolute scratch. I've taken a couple of image libraries that I found online, and we're using those for images such as the background, the enemies, things like that. But all the JavaScript we've written is from scratch, from the complete beginning. And one of the enemies was one that my wife drew on her iPad and sent me. So that's what the Mad Bird enemy is an original one created by my wife, and a few of the graphics that we've put in have been original. This opening screen I generated with DALL-E, and I might create another opening screen because I've been messing with Midjourney a lot, which is an awesome generative AI tool. So let's go through the game really quick and I'll show you what it's all about. That's black screen. I'm not sure how that happened. Oh, that's right. So we'll do a git pull. This is all available publicly on my GitHub. Serve. And maybe I should be nice and share the GitHub links. I will share the GitHub links and the playable version of Totally Awesome. So this is GitHub with our source code. That's the full source code. Every week I commit after the stream. I commit everything to the source code. A couple people have forked it. It's awesome. And then we have a playable version of the game on itch.io. And I do the same thing here. After the stream, I upload this to itch.io so that there's a playable version up there. So let's jump into our game and let's just kind of explore it. For those of you who are just coming to the stream and haven't been staring at this thing every week, we will jump right in and play it. So we've created a start screen, game over screen. All of this stuff has been done on this live stream. Our objective is to collect the cherries and try to avoid the enemies. We have two enemies. We have this bird that hops, and then we have this mad bird. And once you collect all the cherries, another mad bird is generated. Now, last week, we decided to give our player a little more power. So before, the player was... oh, I forgot to start that up. So before, the player was pretty much defenseless. And our toad had to run around and avoid enemies and had no way to defend themselves against these birds that are all over. But then we created this ball. Bink, bink. And the ball is for self-defense. And we put a little logic in there to make things a little more difficult. And so when the ball hits one of the enemies, that enemy will vertically strafe really fast. We didn't really see that much here, but we'll do it. We'll generate another mad bird. And once you hit that mad bird one time, you have to hit it twice to kill it. And the first time you hit it, it will come flying at you, which makes it a little more difficult, right? So we'll go here. It's going to come over here, and we'll say, bink. Oh, our enemy's already gone. But maybe they'll come back and hit that ball again, and you'll see it strafe. Nope. We'll drop another one in there. It's kind of hard to see. I guess you just got to take my word for it this time. But it definitely adds a little adventure. It adds a little fun to the game, right? So we'll go back here and collect the cherries. And as we can see, we have a score. And one of the things that I attempted to do on our last stream, but I ran out of time, was to display the score on the screen. There we go. See how he's just flying now. And we hit it again. We're good. That adds to a little bit of the difficulty, right? That makes things a little more fun. And awesome, we are on YouTube. That is great to hear. I like it. We are good to go. And why LinkedIn isn't working, I have no idea. So this is a pretty fun game. This game is really fun to play. I'm not that great at it, which I find kind of hilarious because I created it. But one of the things that I want to do is I want to put the high score on the game over screen. That way people can take screenshots. And those of you who are playing this thing online can say, look at my score and send a screenshot. Maybe we'll give out some prizes or something for somebody that has the highest score in this game. Now, of course, I'm going to make it super difficult as time goes on, making it harder to get a great score. And so you can see score undefined right there. So score is not being passed over the way it should be. However, we can fix that pretty easily. I've got a few ideas how we can do that. And let's jump into the code. So in our opening scene here, actually, we don't really need the opening scene at all. We have the game over scene. We need to jump into the game scene here. And there's a whole bunch of commented code that I should just remove to make life easier. All right, so the first thing we want to do is we need to change our collider a little bit. So we need it to pass in the score. So in our collider, oops, we'll go here. We have a couple of colliders that deal with enemies. So when you collide with the enemy, like the mad bird right here, this scene start game over scene, all we need to do is pass in the score. We should be able to do an init. We should be able to pass in the score and do an init, and it should work great. Should work fantastic. Whether or not that happens, we'll see. So we have two different colliders. We've got one for Mad Bird and one for enemy. Here's the one for enemy. And as you can see, I tried to pass in the score. And I don't remember why that didn't work, but it's been a couple weeks, a couple long weeks. But let's see if we pass in the score with the Mad Bird and the enemy. Let's see if it actually passes the score. Oh, it's still undefined. So let's go into our game over scene here. And we don't have an init, so that's actually our problem. We're going to put in an init function here that will grab that score. So we'll say init data. And as you can see with the autocomplete, this score equals data score. I think this will work. We'll just call it this dot score. And we'll go over here to game over image, game over score, this dot score. I think the missing init function was probably the reason why this didn't work. Probably. Maybe. We'll see. So I got to make sure to at least get something. And nope, score still undefined. So this dot score, this score equals data dot score. Let's go over to our game scene and make sure that we have this dot scene start, game over scene. We're passing in this dot score. So perhaps this dot score needs to be made global. So we have this dot score set here in our create. I believe it is. Yep. So this dot score, font size. I'm going to make that 16 also because that's enormous. So this dot score, we set it to 0. Let's take this score and put it out in our game.js before we start. So var score 0. Let's see if making that thing global helps. And I have no idea how that enemy just died right there. I did not hit that enemy. Score still undefined. So this final score, data equals score. Let's jump into our data that when we start this game over scene. On stringify data. And let's make sure that we are actually passing this thing in here. Oops. I don't think we are. Looks like init isn't even being called here. We are putting game over in there, which is cool. So this scene start, game scene, reset game. Okay, so in our game over scene, we are not calling init. That's probably why. That one little space, probably not helping. Score is now 200, 300. Score is still undefined. So it is not calling this init function at all. Which is kind of interesting. So I did have in my notes here. Let's see. Yeah, I should be able to put in init. And it should pass it in, but somewhere this game over scene is being called and it's not passing in what I need it to pass in. So we'll say game over scene, and we'll make sure that each time game over scene is called, this is what we're going to search for. Each time it's called, it should be passed in with this score right here. should be this dot score. And let's make sure that this dot score is what we want. Both of those, this dot score equals 0, this dot score text, this dot score plus 100 every time you collect a cherry. I mean, this dot score is what we want to pass in. So perhaps I'm passing it in incorrectly. Score equals this dot score. I think this is what I need to do to pass this in to the data variable. Let's try this. Totally awesome. We start. We've got a score. We're hit by an enemy, and there we go. Score equals 100. So, of course, the next thing we need to do, checking this. Okay. So we have a score. The score is being passed to the screen, which is important. And the reason for that is if we want to send screenshots, like I've sent this game out to a few of my friends, and they're like, oh, you know, one of my friends played this thing for a long time, and he said, I got this huge friggin' score, but I couldn't screenshot it and send it to you because if I did, then I would have died. So that was the inspiration for putting the final score here on the screen, is so that if somebody gets a really high score, they can screenshot it and send it to me, and it won't matter because the game's over. That's the whole reason I wanted to do the score. Now we need to make the score a little bit more visible. And so to do that, we're going to have to play around with the positioning and things like that. So let's do that really quick. And I would like to change some of the fonts and things like that, but for now, let's just make it somewhere where we can see it. Oh, and it looks like I did have some game over text in there. So this add image, game over image. This game over score equals add text. We'll position this game over score. And I don't even remember how to position it, but for the placement, right now it's 400, 100. Let's try, let's see where that ends up. So 400 and 100 ends up right here. So let's play around with this a little bit. Set origin 0.5 should put us right in the middle, which is where we want it, because the score is going to be different. There we go. The score is going to be different lengths, right? So we have score 0. The score could be 500,000, which is going to add to the length. So that's why we set that origin in the middle. And here we have some font size stuff that we can put in. And I have that commented out from last week. So this dot score equals this dot score, comma. I think I can just put all of this stuff in here. And this should make it big and bold and viewable. So I'll run up here and get hit. Okay, that makes it red. Not ideal. Don't want it to be red. So we're going to do white instead. 32 pixels, font weight of bold. Let's see what this looks like. This should look a little bit better. Even though I set the font weight to bold and it does not look very bold. However, we can Google some stuff and see what we can do with that text. Text options for phaser. All right, we'll look at some text options here. Text style. Let's see what kind of different baseline, Color, we did color. Fixed height. I want this to be bold. Most of this doesn't look like it's font specific. We're going to say font options for Phaser. What are the font style possible values? That's what I'm looking for. Should be CSS. There we go. Yeah, it uses the same syntax as CSS. So font style, font weight, etc. X Rainbow's notes. Fonts. So we're just kind of going all over the place here. We can load in custom fonts, font family, font style, font weight. Let's make that font weight. That is probably why, because it's font dash weight equals bold. And it does not like that. Interesting. So maybe it doesn't use the CSS stuff. I'm a little confused. Okay. Font size, font weight, font set. And it is font weight. Bold. That's what we had before. Let's see if we can put a numeric value in there. Some type. Just see what it does to this score. I don't know. Start it. Hit by an enemy. Does nothing. So we're going to say font weight. Bolder. Want it even bolder than what you think is bold right now. Okay, it's not bolder. Let's see. I use custom fonts, local fonts, custom fonts. And I think I do have something in my notes here. Something in another game that I built. I had some cool fonts, and I think I copied them over. So I'm going to see if I copied them over in here. I did fill. Font size fill. Here's in one of my games, but I think we already did fill. And that's just another way to set the color, right? I feel like they were a lot bolder. Okay. So fill we set to red. We don't care about that. We got that. Let's Google some more. Change font in Phaser. Should be class text style. There we go. That's what I was looking for earlier. Stroke thickness. Stroke thickness. We have shadow. We have all kinds of stuff. So let's do stroke thickness on it. And maybe we'll do like a black stroke with this font family. Let's see what kind of font families we have available first. That's probably the very first thing I should have done was font family equals, what kind of font family do we have here? Arial? I think Arial will look better than Courier. Yes, Arial looks much better than Courier, and it looks bolder. So, where do we put for the folks in the chat? Feel free to throw out any questions you might have, but where should we put this top score? I think we should put it right below the game over right above the toad's head. However, if you have other ideas, let's see, and I think it's this one that changes that, but I'm not entirely sure. I get my X's and Y's mixed up all the time on here. That's a little bit too far. 300 maybe? 300 pixels. Let's try that. We got to add some music to this game eventually too. There we go. We're just almost there. Game over. And we should say final score. And we should put that at 280. Maybe 260. Let's see where that puts it. Yeah, I definitely want to add some music to this whenever possible. Go ahead, hit me. 265, I think it's going to be our final number. I don't want to iterate on this too long, but I think 265 will put us right where we want to be. There we go. That is perfect. So 265. We have our final score. Really cool. Reset the game. Reset it. Now we should be able to just go in and there we go. Hit a couple enemies. Gather up some cherries. We might do some map modifications today too. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But one of the things I want to do is implement some health. I think health is a good thing. Like right now, if the enemy hits you, they just hit you and that's it. And also I want to add to the score whenever you kill an enemy. That'll be a little tricky because the collision detection is great, but it's not super great. So you have to hit the enemy twice with the ball for them to die. And as you can see, we have the enemy hit here. That enemy was hit 20 times because it was just sitting there colliding and colliding and colliding. I need to figure out how to put a delay in there, how to do something to change that, ideally. But I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do there. Not yet. But I will. And looking on, doing quick tech check, we are, ta-da, on YouTube, which is great. We've got a lot of folks watching there. As a reminder, always on Twitch. All the time. Follow us here. We're doing cool stuff. Last week, we did a lot of cool stuff on Twitch and LinkedIn and YouTube and all those. We did the Tech Skills Day. We did Link. It was super fun. I met a lot of awesome people last week. And we had a lot of cool stuff to watch. All that stuff is still on our Twitch channel right now if you want to watch the Tech Skills Day stuff, which was incredible. We had a lot of incredible discussions from Link. I'm actually not on most of those. I was either behind the camera or doing things at Link, but I was on a couple of panels. Last week, I talked to some pretty awesome people. I talked to some awesome people at Tech Skills Day, and all of that stuff is available here on our Twitch channel. So be sure to check it out. So what do we do next? Great question. Let's add to the score when, let's see. Yeah, in my notes, I just kind of put in notes like things I want to do. Let's add to the score when the enemy is hit. So we'll go down here. We have a function somewhere in here. This thing is getting so huge. But we have a function. Here's spawn cherries, collect cherry, create mad bird. There we go. Destroy enemy. So whenever the enemies hit, we want to increment the score. So this enemy hit plus plus. So I think I know how I can fix this enemy hit thing. Now that I'm looking at this right now, I think what I can do is say, similar to the health thing that I have in my brain, where for health, I want to set it to 100. And when the enemy hits you, it subtracts 50 so that you get hit twice and you're dead. I think we're going to do the same thing with the enemy. I think we should say this enemy hit equals this enemy hit plus 1. And if the enemy hit is more than 1, destroys the enemy. Let's see if this works, because we have to fix this part in order to do the scoring. Otherwise, the scoring is going to be all thrown off. So there we go. The enemy's been hit once. It's been hit twice. That enemy was hit once, and it died. That's great. So we need to set this. Yeah, we did that, didn't I? Set the enemy hit to 0. Let's try this again, because that was a little funky. I'm going to try hitting the mad bird once, and it died. That one got hit, and it didn't die. So this one is a tricky thing. We're going to have to constantly display what enemy. Okay, he was hit once and then twice and died. Hit once and died. So if the enemy hit is equal to 2, this is the first thing we can try. Maybe we should assign a value for each enemy. Maybe that's what the problem is. I think that's what our issue is. We need to assign hits per the enemy that we're hitting. Because I hit that. Oops, I did not hit that guy. Hit that guy. Whoa, yikes. And there's twice. So I'm guessing now enemy hit is 0. Yep. So we're going to have to find a way to make this unique. And I did set a timeout in there. It didn't seem to do much. Like a 4-second timeout. Didn't seem to do what I wanted it to do. Let's see what kind of attributes the enemy has. So log JSON stringify the enemy. Let's see what kind of attributes. Maybe when we create the enemy, we can create an attribute. That would be pretty cool, right? Like an attribute of how many times they're hit. Boom. There is a data. I did see data. So this is what our JSON stringify enemy looks like. See, there's that data key. I think I can stuff things in there. We have blend mode, visible, true, alpha, rotation, flip, origin, scale. We have a whole bunch of things for this sprite. So let's see if we can just add data to it, and we'll add a health for the enemy. So we'll go to the first instance where we spawn the enemies. Actually, here's create mad bird. Right here. Create XY mad bird. Mad bird set bounce. Mad bird dot health 100. Let's see if this transfers over. Boom. Look here. And I don't see mad bird health. So it's probably in the create. Let's see if this passes it into the data. Okay, sorry, I got an emergency text here. Somebody stuck up in the mountains in the snow. So let me. Okay. So what we're going to do here is see if that data that I passed into the enemy will transform here. And I don't see it in the data. Still don't see it in the data. So how to add custom attributes to a sprite in Phaser, because I know this is possible, I just don't know how to do it. Add a custom property. Pulling my hair out, trying to figure out how to add a simple property with a sprite container so I can identify when it's clicked. That's kind of what I want, but sprites with custom properties is what I'm looking for. That site's offline. Custom properties to a sprite. Depend the value logic passed. Create sprite and then do this. Sprite.funny variable name. Let's try it. So we're copying this code and we're saying sprite game add sprite. But here it's like dot funny variable name equals 20. It looks like that's another way to do it. So we'll just say mad bird health equals 100. Let's see if that works. Not going to spend too much time on this, but it would be something cool to add for our scoring system. Oof. Enemy hit. Enemy was hit, but I don't see the health. And see what I mean when I say I'm not even that good at my own game? Boom! Okay. Enemy hit both times when they were displayed. Text key bird, frame key. There's no data for either of those. So mad bird health does not work, and setting health to 100 does not work. Let's try it with a sprite. Maybe we can do it with a sprite. back to enemy. Where we create the enemy the first time. Here's all our colliders. There we go. Bird, comma, health 100. I know we can do player health, but we only have one player. So it's super easy to just create a global variable, but there are more than one enemy, which makes it a little difficult. And we did hit that enemy, and we did not pass anything in there. It's like we are not passing that data. So we're going to do a little bit different query. How to access data in Sprite phaser. Sprite data. Data manager allows you to store automatically created if you use get data, set data, or set data enabled. So set data. Try it instead of this. Set data. And we'll say health is 100. 100. Let's try this. And I still don't see the data for that one, and I don't see the data for that one. Set data. Maybe we'll try to get data down here and see if that works. Down in the collision where we hit. Certainly possible. So create Madbird, destroy enemy. So log, we'll put health. Console log is always your friend. I mean, no matter what. It's just enemy.health. Yeah, probably not. I think I need to actually call the get data method, but autocomplete, put it in there. We're going to try it. Oop. Health is undefined with that one. Health is undefined with that one. So that's not a surprise, but I can say enemy get data health. Let's see if this one is defined. If it is, we've got enemy health, and we can kind of tie that up. Health is undefined with that one. Let's see if it's undefined with our actual enemy. Health 100. There we go. We got it. I got it. All right. So get data, set data. So if you want to do custom attributes, which I did not know how to do, now we both know how to do it, is get data. So we'll go back up to enemy, or we'll go up to Madbird and we'll set data. Madbird. And so to kind of explain, instead of using like a global variable, we're attaching a property to each of those so that each enemy that's generated or each Madbird that's generated, they have their own health so that they need to be hit twice instead of before you would hit twice and you could hit one enemy once and one enemy on the other and it would destroy them because it would count it as two. So we're assigning this, we're assigning health to each enemy, basically. So Madbird.setData health 100. And I don't want that to be capitalized. So Madbird set data, health 100. Now let's make sure that we're getting the data from both of them. And I need to check something really quick. Health was 100. Perfect. So we've set the health for both of them. Set bounce, set bounce. We'll go down here. So for enemy hit, we're going to do something a little bit different here. We are going to get their data and set their data here. So with enemy health, we can take that, get enemy get data health is the value we're looking for. We're going to say health equals enemy get data health. So if health is 0, we destroy the enemy. Else, we say enemy set data health. Here, we're going to set to 50. So this should make it so they have to be hit twice. Each enemy has to be hit twice in order to be eliminated. So we'll see, we got bink. Oh, that crashed hard. Health is not defined. Okay, enemy set data, get data health. If health is equal to 0, enemy set data health. Now, when we create the enemy, the blue bird is set to 100 and mad bird is set to 100. Health equals enemy get data health. If health is equal to 0, destroy. Otherwise, I think it's the set data that it doesn't like. Let's try this again. Try this one more time. Oops. My health was set to 0. There we go. This should hit one of them. And it is crashing right there. Health is not defined at game scene destroy enemy. 315. Where is that at? 315. And that's count chariot. So the line's all messed up. So health, yeah, that should do it. Should be able to declare it local to that scope because it's only used in that scope. That should work. There we go. Enemy health is 50. This enemy health is 50. Interesting that it still stayed within that loop though. As you can see, the enemy was hit 72 times over here, and its health never became 50. So, else set health to health minus 50. That's what the problem is. I was just setting it to 50 and calling it good. Health minus 50. This should make it so I'll hit them 2 times And life will be good. 1, and it's dead. That makes no sense. 2, and it's dead. That is interesting. Maybe I just need to put a separate statement in there because that isn't working either. I thought it would. So this enemy hit +1. Let's go here. Say enemy health -50. So every time this function's called, it's just going to subtract 50. That actually should work. I think I had the scoping a little goofy there, so nope. It worked on one of them and not the other one. Health 100. It just instantly hit it. There we go. That one worked. That one worked. Health was 100, went to 50. Health was 100. I think overall we just have too many collisions. That's one of the things I'm noticing. Just too many collisions happening. So let's split this out a little bit. Enemy get data. What other kinds of data can we get from this enemy? Type equals sprite. Depth, do they have a name? We don't set the name, so let's set the name when we create them. That'll help. So we can say, you know, this is a mad bird and this is an enemy. Mad bird, mad bird, mad bird. Where do we create the mad bird? This create mad bird. And in the create mad bird function, we are going to say mad bird, set data, name, comma, mad bird. Then we're going to go to the enemy and do the same thing. Go up to the first instance where we're making a new enemy. Enemy bluebird. Here's where we create the enemy. We set the date. We're going to say this dot enemy set data name bluebird. This is just for debugging purposes, just so I can see which is which when they get hit. And I'm not outputting that anymore, so I need to do that down here. And I'm going to output the name of the one that was hit. This should make it a little... Let's see, we're going to get rid of that score thing because we're not doing any score. We're going to go all the way down to enemy hit. Here, we're going to say health. We'll leave that and say console log. We hit enemy get data name. Right. There we go. Oh, and I see a comment from YouTube. Perhaps eval for -LE0. That might be a good idea also. Let's try this. this should show the enemy's name, whether it's a bluebird or a mad bird. When we hit it, we hit mad bird. That was correct. We hit bluebird. However, the health is still not behaving the way I would like it to. Should be setting that enemy hit, we hit, etc. We have all that, right? We hit bluebird. Let's just focus on one enemy at a time, I guess. So let's clear our console log. We're just going to focus on one enemy at a time. Just the mad bird. Bink, and the mad bird's dead. So now I'll go up here so I can look at this and say, we hit mad bird, health 100. Enemy hit set to 0. Then it says we hit mad bird again. Health is set to 50. Enemy hit set to 1. We hit mad bird, health 0. Enemy hit 2. But there was only one hit. That's what the problem is there was only one hit as far as the gameplay is concerned. We're almost at the top of the hour. Oops. There we go. There's 2 hits. Because we hit it once. He did the little strafe. And then got hit. So that's the functionality we're looking for. Why it is suddenly working, I don't know. Let's see how many times they have to hit the bluebird. Only had to hit them once. But it registered as 2 for some reason. And I would like that delay to work. Because the delay just does not work. Maybe we need to send the ball in a different direction once it hits the bird. And we can do that. We can say ball, set velocity X, 500, something like that. And we can make the ball just go away when it hits a bird. Which should be fair, right? It shouldn't just sit and hit them until they die. But it still did the same thing. So I'm not entirely sure how we can fix it, but we will put it in our to-do notes for next week. That one worked properly. Now this bird is going wild. Let's see what it does to this fella. That one worked properly. Yeah, so it's a little buggy. Is what I'm noticing here. Sometimes it works great. Sometimes it does not. So I will have to figure out why sometimes they only need to be hit once and sometimes they are hit twice. Maybe in the update I could constantly put their health. Super annoying, but let's try that. So console log, enemy hit, comment that out, comment all of these out, and we'll just constantly display their health as it goes and see what happens. And actually this enemy hit, we don't even really need to worry about that anymore because we're not evaluating that anymore. So in update, which is way up here, we're just going to spam this here. We're going to say console.log enemy get data name plus a space plus enemy get data health. Oops. And I do think I need to put this in here. This enemy get data name, this thing health. We probably got to do the same thing for the mad bird. Mad bird and mad bird. Now mad bird's in a group, so mad bird might be different. Yeah, didn't think that would work with that, but it should work with this. So now we have bluebird 100. Like I said, it's just spamming through our console log there. Thunk. Now bluebird's at 50. Now bluebird is at -50. Interesting, but okay. Our mad bird appears to be gone. So generate another one. Let's see how many licks it takes to get to the Tootsie Roll Center on this one. 2? Also. I don't know. I mean, it works, but it doesn't work right. So, getting close. But I think we should move on to something else here. So we're at the top of the hour. However, there was something that I wanted to do, which is add health for our player. So I think I'm going to attack that today. Looks like we got help going up to the person in this. Okay. Can do. So for this one, for the health of the player. Oh, we were going to add to the score when the enemies hit. That's right. That was the whole point of trying to clean up this enemy thing, is we want to add a score for the enemy. So we can do that by saying, if you destroy the enemy, which is here, we'll say this score equals this score plus 100. Should work. Start. I think we get 10 for each cherry. No, we get 100 for each cherry. So 300. 300. It does not update because we need to do score text update. So I'm doing this score text, set text, this score. So we're updating the score visually each time that happens. So I've got 100, got 200, $300. Perfect. That's what I wanted. Let's see what happens when we generate another mad bird. Oof. The mad bird was generated right where I was, and it killed me. So I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I'm not going to fix that. I think that's perfectly fine. 100. Oof, he got me. Yeah, see, sometimes it just works and sometimes it doesn't work. And I'm not quite sure why. But we are incrementing the score per enemy, and we're showing the score at the end of the game. So I figure that's a pretty good success for today's stream. Boof. So your score increments each time you kill an enemy. Oh, and the enemy got me. My final score is 1800. Let's change the font on the score too. Before we go, let's make this look a little bit better. Set text. Let's look for score text and put in the font class of Arial. So what we'll do is we'll say Arial. Where did we set that? We set it somewhere here, right? Game over scene. In our create, we set font family to Arial. So let's do that in our score. This score text, font size, fill. I want this to be white. And I want the font family to be Arial. I just think it'll look a little bit better. And it ignored it, which is fine. This score equals 0. Score text, add text, score equals 0. Font size, fill color, font family, Arial. Why doesn't that work? There we go. So that makes the score look a little bit better. However, now it's not updating. Oh, our score is updating there, but it's not updating when I hit an enemy. So we got this. All of these are updating. Okay, there it goes. Now it's updating with the enemy. Okay. That's what I was looking for. So I think that score looks a little bit better. Let's see what kind of high score we can get before we close this down today. I'll generate a couple more. So this is looking pretty good. However, the enemy destruction still needs some work. Whew. Now we've got a mad bird. The bird is mad. So we still need to do a little bit of work, and I want to work on player health also. So player health is going to be another thing that we're going to attack next week. I'm going to put it in the to-dos. Let's do player health. Yeah, we'll do player health so that you can touch the bird a couple times before you die. And next week, and I'll just put all these in the to-dos so that we don't forget. And next week, we're going to change the level up a little bit. And pretty soon we're going to make this level, we're either going to make the level scroll as the person moves, or we might, we'll either make it score as it moves, or we might create a second level, which will be a second screen. I haven't decided whether I want this screen to pan and move through a whole bunch of stuff, or if we just want to change the whole thing, and level 2 is a whole different level. Probably pan and scroll things along, because we can make bigger levels and make it more exciting. But we'll see. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. This has been really fun. It's been really cool. I'm going to find someone on Twitch to raid. And we're going to go ahead and close this down. Make sure and see us next week. Make sure and follow us on Twitch. We're always on Twitch. I'm going to take this and I'm going to commit the code to GitHub. And I'm going to make the playable version up there. So go ahead and check it out. And you can play it if you'd like. And yeah, just want to say thank you to everybody for joining. And we are going to be back next week. David Neal will be here on Thursday building his JavaScript game. David Neal is awesome, so you should check him out. Anyway, thank you all for joining, and I will see you next week.